Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is currently back above 46k, but until we really break above that 200-day moving average, it's still a little bit unclear what Bitcoin is doing here. So my primary view continues to be that we are on our way into this target area now, located between 55 and 65k. But the actual minimum of that movement, of that wave, needs to go to 51k. Okay, that from here Bitcoin has already the possibility to turn around back down, but ideally, and that is also what Bitcoin normally does in a wave B, it would go higher, yeah, at least to 55, I would say, maybe even 61k. So this is based on the Fibonacci retracement levels of that wave down. Yeah, this scenario has become active since we broke above 45.8k, and it takes us into the region between the 61.8% Fib level at 55k and the 88.7% Fib level at 64 or 65k. Yeah, that is clearly what I do expect now. What I didn't expect very clearly as well is that we had such a strong rejection here. I mean, in the last few days I talked about an upcoming correction, because we saw certain indicators on the charts, and we talked about the hanging man pattern, we talked about MACD turning down. But before that, I did not expect that Bitcoin would struggle that much to push through this resistance level, because normally it should have really moved up a bit faster from that 45.8k level. Anyway, nothing is lost here. We are still in this scenario. I talked about a retest of 45.5k, and that is what happened, at least for now. We see that, yeah. The wick obviously came down much lower, and we closed the CME gap, and we can take a quick look at that, because that is what I posted yesterday as well, what I showed you in the video as well. I think this morning, that it closed the CME gap. So basically we had here that CME gap. The price did drop down to the CME gap, or closed it basically, yeah. Even dropped a little bit lower, but it has recovered since then. Yeah, so the last few times here we had a CME gap here. When that was closed, we broke down further the one time or the time before that as well. Yeah, so typically this CME gap gets closed, or it was closed the last few times. So it's just an interesting observation, I think, that I did not want you to miss. However, I mean, we are coming up again, and that is looking interesting, looking good, but also need to look at that, and currently we're just making a lower high. Okay, so it remains what it is. We need to break above that 48.2k level now, that 200-day moving average, and until we've done that, yeah, it just is struggling, isn't it? Bitcoin continues to struggle. So my primary expectation since we broke that level remains that we are going higher here now into this region, in basically an ABC. Yeah, so you came down in your wave A, you're moving up in your wave B, coming down in your wave C, and that should then take us finally into that target range. It remains, still my view that we haven't seen the low yet. And I stressed numerous times that, of course, also short-term price increases are always possible, and that is now this scenario where we see these short-term price increases. Yeah. And normally I don't want to focus really on these comments, but I had a few comments that my skepticism has caused people to lose out on that run, and I can just say absolutely not, because I have repeatedly said, especially for all altcoins, most altcoins that I cover reached my target areas anyway, and that these were the buying areas, and I set my buy orders. I communicated them clearly, especially to channel members. Anyone who bought at these price or at these target areas, in these target areas, didn't miss anything of the run. And even for Bitcoin, which has not reached the target area, I told you even in these videos that I started to accumulate below 40k Bitcoin, right? So nobody should have missed anything of the run. If anybody watched my videos, you shouldn't have missed anything, right? If you still decide to wait for the lowest point, which in my opinion will come, but it's never guaranteed, and I said that as well, then that's up to you. If you don't want to buy when prices are low already, then that's entirely up to you. I can only say here what I do, and for me and a little bit of education, really. It's or just for everybody to understand my view a little bit better. It's all about being prepared for both or for all scenarios if you can, right? It's all part of a larger strategy. Even though the chart for me points further to the downside, I'm still not, because nothing is guaranteed, right? It's all probabilities. But I'm not going to allow those probabilities to allow me to miss out on such a run. And therefore, I did accumulate at these attractive levels. I stressed that throughout. And I also said that it's not a good idea to always try to chase the lowest point, because doing that and not having an open mind will not work many times. And you can see anybody who waited for the lowest point, which might never come, then probably lost out on the run. But that is entirely up to you when you buy or not. I can only tell you what I do, and I did buy below certain levels. I communicated that, and throughout for all altcoins, buy orders triggered, absolutely. So they are all in profit, or pretty much all of them are in profit, which is fantastic. But so I don't understand really that view. So it's all a larger strategy. It's not only if I tell you, right, I think the price is going to go into this area, that I'm only going to buy in this area. No, clearly not, because for many altcoins especially, the target area is already triggered. We reached those target areas, and I stressed repeatedly that whenever we reach a target area, the price has a very good chance to turn around. The minimum requirements for a correction are finished or are achieved, and altcoins, especially the altcoins that reach those target areas, can turn around at any point in time. Until we reach the target area, I was very specific that we have not finished the correction yet. It worked out for most altcoins. The ones that have not reached the target areas yet, and this is really only Polygon Matic and Polkadot and Bitcoin, I still believe they are going to reach them. So we just need a bit of patience. But of course, also in a downward trend, you can make money by buying the dips, which is what, pretty much I said here on this channel. But if you didn't do it, that's entirely up to you. I guess everything's a learning experience, but it's part of having an open mind, I think, and that is so important, right? And I mean, I really want to help people here. I really want to educate as well, and try to emphasize on this channel that it is so important to have patience, and many veteran investors or star investors or really experienced traders, millionaires, billionaires, they talk about the importance of patience in markets. This is actually the most important skill in financial markets, to have patience. If you don't have patience, you need to train it. If you can't train it, you need to consider maybe this is not for you. And it is as that. And that is why so many people unfortunately lose money. It's not because they maybe don't understand the charts or whatever, or I don't know. It is mainly because they don't have patience. They make wrong decisions based on fear and greed. And that is why it's so important to take those emotions out. That is why I communicate clearly my buy and sell orders, in order to help people if they want to follow them. Again, that's up to you. I'm not saying anyone or telling anyone you need to buy these levels. That's your decision. I can only share what I do myself, but it helps to keep the emotion out. Defining clear targets before they occur, and then these buy orders will get triggered, these sell orders will get triggered, and it just helps to keep the emotions out. I know it's still hard, but I think it helps a lot of people. I see that in the comments, and therefore I don't understand those comments when someone says you missed out on the run, because at no point I said don't buy, and at no point I said I don't buy. No, I clearly bought, and I said that numerous times, even for Bitcoin, even though I assumed we are going to go lower. It's, in my opinion, a bit naive not to buy below 40k. I said that as well, because chasing the lowest point is not what I do. I usually buy already a bit higher, because, and I said that as well, here for Bitcoin, I still expect that price to come lower, and that is based on probabilities, and that is based on the expanded flat pattern that, in my opinion, Bitcoin is here developing, where or still, you communicated before this three peaks and the domed house pattern, which again looks pretty much with what we're doing here as well, where you come down once more. But there are exceptions. There is the so-called running flat pattern, which would allow Bitcoin to go to new all-time highs from here. So this is all possible, but only with a very, very low probability. But because I don't want to miss out on that, I already accumulated Bitcoin below 40K, and that position is clearly in profit. And even I opened another position at when we broke 45.5K, said that as well, because even this was another confirmation for me that we are going to go higher. Yeah, and again, I communicated that as well. And that is also slightly in profit now, and I expect it to work out as well. And even if it doesn't, then it will be, even after another dip, it will be in profit, because markets always go up. Markets always go up. And if they don't go up, the asset is going to die. Markets always go up. Of course, you have short-term dips. You can so-called bear markets, even though I don't like that term, because there is no such thing really as a bear market. There is only there are only impulses and corrections, really, from an Elliott point of view here. So anything what people call bear market is just a correction of a previous impulse. And overall, if you zoom out, markets always go up. And if markets don't go up, that asset is going to die. So there is not such a thing as really a bear market, in my point of view. But it's a question of perspective. Of course, there are short-term dips, and you can call them a bear market if they take longer than 3 months or whatever. And I sometimes use those terms as well, bulls and bears, basically because many people use them, and it makes it easier to explain, in my opinion. But markets always go up, and therefore it is so difficult also when people, and I never answer these questions. Again, a lot of people ask me I will never answer these questions in the comments. Should I buy now? Should I buy Solana at $120? Is it too late to buy Bitcoin now? No, I can't answer that, because this is up to you. This is entirely up to you, because it depends on your own strategy. There are people who buy at nearly at the all-time high and can make money with it if they are watching the charts every day, every hour, and know what's going on. There are people who just buy, as I do, the lowest points. Yeah, that's what we did on this channel, and waiting patiently for the swing high. And this is another strategy. And if you have a very long-term view, it's probably not even, it's not late to buy, because a lot of points and factors are pointing towards a 6-digit Bitcoin, maybe even this year. Yeah, so you can't answer these questions, because if someone says, is it too late to buy, and then the price drops short term, and then you get frustrated or whatever. But you need to understand that prices, if even for example Solana, this is a Bitcoin video, but even Solana, where we expect a $300, $400, $500 Solana, maybe medium term, or longer term, but then buying at 120, no, it's not too late. But of course, if you have a very short-term perspective and expect to cash out next week, it might be too late, because you might want to wait for the next dip. So I never answer these questions. Just really to explain that, why I reply to a lot of questions when I can, but some I just don't reply to, because I can't answer them. They are impossible to answer for someone, because you have to make these decisions. Everybody, if you're in financial markets, you have to make very clear decisions for yourself, and I can't do that for you. Nobody can do that for you. I can only share here what I do. Yeah. So that's just a little bit of the perspective in the background, really. And I think also to really help you understand how my mindset really is. And I think that is so important, to keep the emotion out, and be patient, because markets will always go up, and short term there will always be dips, but markets always go up. Other than the alternative is that they die, and I don't expect Bitcoin to die. So this is Bitcoin, currently moving a little bit higher while we talk, but Bitcoin really needs to break above that 200-day moving average. And as I said before, if we break below 42.7K, then we'll probably have to rethink this scenario, and then I would go back primarily to that lower, directly sell off directly into that target area down here. In the end, both scenarios point towards the downside anyway for me. There is no real bullish scenario for me. There is, of course, a chance that Bitcoin moves to all-time highs from here, because everything is always possible in financial markets. It's only probabilities. But this is such a low probability that Bitcoin breaks above all-time high. As I said before, maybe a 10-15% probability. And it's not zero. Yeah, it is there, that probability. But again, we can only talk about probabilities here. And that hopefully helps you understand the markets and gives you a bit of orientation in these markets, because that is really everything I can do. Can't take the decision for you when to buy, and I also can't give you an exact direction of the market, because we don't know. I don't know. It's only probabilities, and I can, so far, target areas worked out for many altcoins, and I believe for Bitcoin they're going to work out as well. We just need to be a bit patient, right? And it's often the emotions that trick people. I mean, it's this up and down here. This is normal in the crypto market. But in a few days or weeks, we're going to see how it has worked out. Yeah, it's the short-term view sometimes is not that helpful, to be honest. So yeah, that's my view. Hopefully you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.